Excuse me, sir, is this the Delta House?
Sure. Come on in.
They have cold beer and action on the game.
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
It's time for the Degenerates Next Door.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Let me be the latest to wish all of you a very special and happy new year. My name is Jason Hammer. Rob Kendall, former elected official, tax-cutting machine, and a man that was on a heater last weekend, joining us on the hotline. Rob, I think we've got a lot going on here. Not only do we have college football playoff, not only do we have New Year going on, but correct me if I'm wrong, somebody's got a birthday today, Mr. Kendall.
Yes, that's correct, Hammer. 25 years old. Thank you for acknowledging his massive 25th birthday.
Yeah, I'm not buying that it's 25. How old are you? What is your crusty ass at these days?
Well, I have officially put a 4 in my the first number. So,
okay. All right.
So, you reach a point where you're like, I wonder if there have been more yesterdays than tomorrows. But I plan on living to 107, so I'm not quite there yet.
Well, listen, we've got a lot of stuff to get to. Big-time college football playoff games. We're going to have a free pick from professional handicapper David Stefanoff coming up a little bit later in the show. But because today is such a special day for you, Rob Kendall, turning the big 4-0, here to wish you a very special birthday is the current president of the United States, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dallas. Happy birthday to you.
There is nothing better than when Joe Biden forgets the name of the person that he's singing to and just goes, happy birthday, Velvet.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dallas.
And you, of course, have the number one rated afternoon show in the city of Indianapolis. Last year, you had, what was it? Was it Biden Madness? Was that the name?
Correct.
Of the bit where your listeners would vote online for the biggest Biden screw-ups. And thanks to our Kendall and Casey radio program, we delivered Velvet as the winner of the Biden Madness.
Well, happy New Year, happy birthday, Rob. And now that we got all of that crap out of the way, let's get down to brass tacks.
I want action tonight, satisfaction all night.
And the action we have, it is college football playoff. There are a number of bowl games, there are a number of basketball games, but we're going to focus on the college football playoffs here. And we are talking about Penn State and Boise State. Depending on where you look, the line is 11.5 or 12. Penn State is the favorite. The over-under is around 53.5. And Rob, the big exciting news is that our sponsor, StatFactory.io, the one-stop shop for all things statistics, now has all of the stats and info for these college football playoff games up.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second. And again, one of the things they have coming, which is going to be great, especially if you're a person who has struggled with the ladies over the years, is they're going to have a super smoke AI chatbot girl who you would never have a chance in a million, billion, quadrillion years to give you the time of the day. However, thanks to StatFactory.io, soon this AI chat girl will not only give you the time of day, she will allow you to enter your information in when you bet and tell you if your bet sucks or if it's pretty good. So not only does some chick who would never talk to you finally talk to you, it might actually help you with your betting as well.
And you can take all of these statistics from these college football playoff teams. You can line them up side by side. You can compare and contrast. You don't have to spend hours looking up information anymore. StatFactory.io. Free preview right now. Just sign up for the free trial. And if you dig it, which you totally will, it's only $15 a month. And if you use the promo code DEGENERATES, with an S, Degenerates, you get it even cheaper. So, Rob, Tell me what you got for Penn State and Boise State tonight.
Well, one quick thing before we do this bet. Another thing about Stat Factory that is great, and I would use them for nothing else, even if this were just the only thing they offered. They compile every major sports betting website essentially in the United States, and they put them in a graph for you. So you can see what the odds are at all of these different sports books and how many times, Hammer, last night for a lot of people in the Iowa game, I won on the hook, right? How many times have you been screwed by the hook? Think about that.
Congratulations on being the only person that's ever won by the hook, Rob. You're the first person that's ever won by the hook. Congratulations.
Now, don't worry. I've gotten plenty of screw jobs on the hook over the years, so I'm not in the plus. But the point is, how many times have we seen this where you're like, gosh darn it, a half a point over here, over there cost me the bet. With StatFactory.io, they take all the betting lines, and let's say you're someone like Hammer who has 93 sports betting accounts at 93 different websites.
I go hard in the paint.
Hey, you got to, man. You got to. And you think about it, for many of these websites, it's a good move because they give you a free sign-up or they give you, free money to come out or free bets or whatever, so you're not even out anything. But it'll give you all these websites, whether it's Caesars or whether it's FanDuel or whether it's DraftKings or ESPN or whoever it is. And in the case of this Boise State game, it's a big deal because a lot of these websites are a half point off, whether it's 11.5 or 12, and that could make all the difference. So StatFactory.io, I would use them for nothing else other than it saves me hours not having to go to these different websites.
So as for your official play, which you were on a heater in the first round of college football playoff games. You were rolling, so let's keep that mojo going. What do you got for us tonight?
Well, I'm going to take Boise State getting 12. Look, I'm a sucker to be stabbed in the heart, so I'm tempted to take James Franklin in another big game. But everything I'm reading, people think, even though Boise State is kind of a one-man band with their great running back, that they're going to be able to keep this game close. I really worry if Boise State can't run the ball, how they score any points. But apparently, every website I'm reading says not only do they think Boise State's going to cover, they think this game will actually be relatively close. So I was talked out of, now that means Penn State's going to win by 32 points, but I was talked out of Penn State laying 11.5. I'm going to go up thanks to StatFactory.io, found a website at 12. I'm going to take Boise State getting 12 tonight.
And really, if you're getting 12, when you look at the number 12 in terms of sports betting, that might as well be 13, right? 12 isn't a dead number per se, but it's pretty close. More often than not, you're going to hit certain numbers, 3, 6, 7, 10, 13, 14 when it comes to sports betting. So if you're getting 12, it's almost like you're kind of getting that extra point without having to buy it, if that makes sense.
Do you understand what I'm saying, though, when I'm looking at this going, I'm shocked that many people think Boise State is going to keep this game close. And what are they seeing that I'm not? Because Boise State sort of seems like a one-man band, although they're undefeated other than a loss to Oregon, and everybody seems to think Oregon is one of the 3 best teams in the country, so maybe they really are that good.
Well, and the thing is, I think we're being fooled a little bit by Penn State's defense. We keep hearing how great Penn State's defense is. Historically, Penn State defense. They've given up some yards on the ground this year. Now, they've won some games, but you look at what Penn State has given up on the ground in some of those Big Ten matchups, they can be had. And SMU kind of, if you watch that game, if you sat down and actually watched it and don't just look at the box score, SMU was pushing Penn State around a little bit up front. Now, SMU's quarterback thought it would be a bold move to throw it to the other team multiple times and change the whole complexion of the game. But you and I were texting back and forth that SMU was moving the ball down the field on Penn State.
Here's the other reason I'm taking Boise State getting the 12, Hammer. I was inspired by last night's bet. Of course, for our NFL show, I'm Mr. Monday Night. I have to take every crappy Monday Night Football game. And I tweeted out, I hate this game. I have no idea what it's going to do. I would never play this game unless I had to do it for the show. I guess I'll begrudgingly take the Lions minus 3.5. And gosh darn it, Hammer, I won minus 3.5 with the Lions. So what I really need to do is just hate my bets when I make them, and then I think maybe I'll be more successful. So I hate this Boise State bet, and in honor of the Lions last night, I'm taking Boise State.
I feel like I deserve a little pat on the back because I feel like I pushed you into that Lions bet last night. Because I feel like you were maybe thinking about going something with the total, maybe another direction, but it was my logic that Dan Campbell seems like that much of a red ass, that he's still pissed off about losing a playoff game a year ago, that he's going to play his starters in basically a meaningless game because he's that level of red ass.
No, totally. Yeah. You totally did. You get credit on that. Here's my question for you, because you're obviously older than me. You've been married a lot longer than I have. At what point did your wife just stop being aware that you were behaving like a maniac watching a bunch of strangers on the television? At some point that had to happen, right?
So I've always been a gambling degenerate, so it's kind of what my wife signed up for. But I think what you're getting at, I think the more appropriate question is, at what point does she just stop giving a damn about you? Because, listen, I think I'm at that point. I think there's a lot of married dudes that are at that point right now. And your beautiful wife, she just popped out a shorty not that long ago. And maybe you guys will have more kids. Maybe you won't. I don't know. But she'll never love you again, Rob. Let me make that perfectly clear. It's over. But she will still wear your ring. She will still support you. If you die in a fiery car crash, if you're shot by terrorists, she'll cry at the funeral. But she's never going to love you like she did when you were dating. Let me make that perfectly clear.
Like, she just kept looking at me disinterested as I was screaming at the television going, "Did your friends win for your birthday?"
I'm sure Dan Campbell in the locker room was like, "We got to win this one for Rob Kendall."
Hey, who you got tonight?
Man, again, like you, this is not a game that I'm in love with, but I'm going to play it because that's what I do. And I was ready to go over 53. But now it's got the hook to it, 53.5. And the hook's a deal breaker for me here because, again, 53 is a number where multiple ways can be had with that number. 53.5, I don't like that at all. So I'm looking at Boise State here. Over 20.5 total team points. I don't know if they win. I don't know if they stick around. I don't know if they get blown out. But I figure with Boise State getting 20.5 as the team total here, I got multiple shots here. If it's garbage time, let's go. If there's a pick six by Penn State, let's go. 20.5 is 3 touchdowns. I'm hoping that a team in the college football playoff, even if it comes down to garbage time, like the Hoosiers did in that first round against Notre Dame, 20.5 is a doable number. I think Penn State wins. They might cover, but I think Boise State puts at least 21 on the board here.
I like it. I like that bet. That dude can run the football, and it seems like no matter how many guys they put up against him, now again, they haven't played, other than Oregon, anybody Penn State's caliber. It seems like they can score some points. And don't forget, Penn State scored a lot of points, or Oregon scored a lot of points against Penn State in that Big Ten championship game, and they ran the ball really well.
Right.
They ran the ball really well.
So
good luck.
So, Rob, you are with Boise State, and I have got the team total over 20.5 with Boise State. All right, let's move our attention to tomorrow's action. For those listening on the podcast, this will be Wednesday, New Year's Day. Arizona State taking on Texas.
The stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Texas.
Arizona State, a very strict academic regimen there, I've been told, Rob. Very, very strict. It might as well be Notre Dame or Stanford, from what I've been told. But they do got a freshman gunslinging quarterback here. Let's see what the kid's got. Arizona State is catching 12.5. Texas, 12.5-point favorite. You might find that number a little different. Check out Stat Factory. The over-under is at 51.
All right, so Arizona State's been very good to me on multiple occasions this year. You know why they've been good to me, Hammer? They got a dude who is their running back. He looks like a bowling ball. He's not really shaped like a human. And his last name is Scataboo. That's the guy's last name, Scataboo. He's their whole team. He just runs over people. He doesn't run around you. He doesn't run side to side. He doesn't juke you. He just runs over you, as in he hits you, and then you keep going. And one of the crazy things is his legs. His legs are like, you know, those hams, those giant pieces of beef that Rocky used to box at in the movies.
Oh, sure.
Those are his legs. Like, you cannot tackle him. It's this weird thing where you have to hit him high to tackle him because he's like my height, so maybe he's 5'8", and he's their whole offense. And nobody has caught on yet that Arizona State, I think, is either the best or one of the best teams in the nation in terms of covering the spread this year. I think maybe twice this year they have failed to cover the spread. It's some incredible number. I watched them against Iowa State. They ran all over Iowa State, who not to the level of Texas, but certainly not bad. They smoked them. I was going to go Texas 12, but then I thought Arizona State at 13. There's a lot of ways you can get to 13, isn't there? Talk me out of this. I'm thinking Arizona State at 13. Any reason I shouldn't do this?
I mean, there's a lot of action on Arizona State. There are a lot of questions about Quinn Ewers as the quarterback of Texas. Beginning of the year, they were polishing the Heisman Trophy. They were ready to hand it to this guy, but he had some injuries along the way, had some bad performances. There was that high-profile game against Georgia on national television where he got benched and pulled out in favor of Arch Manning. Even if he goes back to college football next year, chances are it's not going to be with the Texas Longhorns. So there are questions about who the better quarterback is in this game. Is it the freshman kid at Arizona State, or is it Quinn Ewers?
Yeah, and I think I've come up with the reason Ewers plays so bad. Are you ready for this?
Please.
Are you ready for this? Because Matthew McConaughey's on the sidelines for all of these games, and he always like putting his arm around people and like buddying up with them. And Matthew McConaughey, to steal a line from Pitbull, is Mr. Fall on Top of Yo Girl. No matter what girl you got, Matthew McConaughey is going to steal that girl from you, because no matter what you are, you're not going to be as rich as him, you're not going to be as good looking as him, and you're not going to do sit-ups like him, right? You're going to lose your girl. Now, we clearly know Quinn Ewers got problems with girls based on the fact that, allegedly, unrefuted to this point as far as my understanding, he was caught on the social media apps like begging women for nudes. When you're as rich as this dude and you're the starting quarterback at Texas, you should have to be begging chicks for nudes. So I think Matthew McConaughey is actually the reason that Quinn Ewers has not been playing well lately.
Have I told you my Matthew McConaughey story?
Tell again.
So I had media credentials to cover the Colts, and I believe it was the Vikings on Monday night. Long time ago. This is when the movie We Are Marshall was getting ready to hit the theaters. And, of course, Matthew McConaughey was the star of that. ABC, at the time, has Monday Night Football. So I'm in the media room doing what guys like me do, just loading up on the cookies, getting the drinks, hitting the chicken fingers table. Here comes Matthew McConaughey. And he's, there getting a little media meal. He's getting ready to go in the broadcast booth to promote We Are Marshall. And I love Matthew McConaughey. I think he's cool. I think he's a fun guy. I love that he's into sports. He seems like a good, down-to-earth dude. But Robbie stunk. He smelled bad. And I don't know if he's still doing this, but he was going through one of those things where he didn't like chemicals and deodorant. So he didn't want to put chemicals on his body. He was that guy. And like you see him on television, you think, I bet he smells like steak. I bet he smells like money. I bet he smells like hot chicks in Hollywood. Truth be told, he smelled like feet, Rob.
Oh, yeah, that's no good. And that really ruins it for you, right? They always say you should never meet your heroes. They never live up to your expectations. And so think about that. That guy's walking around looking like that, and he stinks.
Right. Totally stinks. You know what else stinks? This total. 51. I think that's a little high here. We got a freshman quarterback, although he's good. I love the fact that he's taking care of his linemen with his Arby's NIL deal, which is fantastic. And then you've got Quinn Ewers, who feast or famine. I don't know. 51 feels like a lot of points here in this one. It's an early start on New Year's Day. 51, man. I think gun to my head, I'm going under. Under 51 is the play here. I think that number is right. If it goes below 51, I'm out. Best case scenario, somebody tacks another number on top. But, man, I am, as of right now, under 51 on that play. All right.
And real quick, I just wanted to tell everybody, keep checking our social media website at Jason Allen Hammer, at Rob M. Kendall. We got the Degenerates Next Door sports podcast. Check those out because sometimes we will call an audible. Like if something changes because we do these shows in advance, check those to see if we've changed our mind on something.
Totally. You can follow us individually on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. He's at Rob M. Kendall. I'm at Jason Allen Hammer. Or you could just search the Degenerates Next Door, the official Twitter account of the show. We just launched it earlier this year, so we're growing this bad boy. It's a little cartoon picture of Rob and I. And, follow us on that account. Somewhere you will find any audibles we are going to throw. All right, let's take a little break. We got 2 more games to pick. We've got our professional David Stefanoff on the way. College football playoff edition of the Degenerates Next Door, brought to you by StatFactory.io. Back on the Degenerates Next Door, brought to you by StatFactory.io. Really is your one-stop shop for all things statistics. If you want to compare Ohio State's defense against Oregon's offense, if you want to see how that lines up the last 3 weeks or a full season, you can do that, and it's a free trial right now. StatFactory.io. Sign up for your free trial, and then if you dig it, which you will, sign up for the monthly package. It's only $15. You bet more than that on a player prop while you're just sitting on the can. And with that purchase, you're getting all of the real-time statistics, and coming soon will be an AI feature to this. So again, get in early. These guys are awesome. StatFactory.io. And Rob, let's talk about it. This may be the best game on the slate. It's not the primetime game, but Ohio State and Oregon. They are running it back from a great game they played earlier this year up in Oregon. Oregon won that one, came down to the final couple of plays, but right now the Buckeyes, 2.5-point favorite, over under right around 55.
I think you and I may agree on this, so I'm sorry in advance. I'm going to Ohio State laying 2. Now, again, this is where Stat Factory comes in, statfactory.io. You got all the websites, all the sports betting websites listed up there, and there are a bunch of that are 2.5, and there are a bunch of 2. So depending on how you want to go with this, use statfactory.io, sign up for that free subscription to get your information. So if you're an Ohio State person like I am, you can get it at 2. Now, I think a lot of people are like, how could Ohio State be favored in this game? Look, take the Michigan game out of the equation because certain people just can't win certain games, and that's Ryan Day against Michigan. But if you take that game out of the equation, other than that, Ohio State had a great year. They almost beat Oregon at Oregon. Their quarterback goofed up at the end, or they should have probably got that game at least to overtime. I think they lost by, was it 3 they lost by last time? It was super close at Oregon. Ohio State's had a really good season. And Ryan Day is looking, and that team is looking to respond based on how everybody wants him fired and all these guys and NIL this and they're overpaid and blah, blah, blah. They're looking to make a statement. I think that's why they're favored. They're actually really good. Their defense is really good. And have we seen Oregon play from behind all year? If Ohio State could somehow get a touchdown lead, or even if it's just an early field goal lead, I'd be very curious to see how Oregon does responding from behind. I'm going to take Ohio State laying the 2.
I'm with you on that one, and let me take it a step further here. I'm going to explain how Ohio State laying 2.5 is actually value here. Because go back to that first game earlier this year up in Oregon. Ohio State was a 3-point favorite in that game. They ended up losing by around 3, but that was on Oregon's home field. So if you buy the theory that home field advantage is a field goal, at least. So that's 3 points right there. This is a neutral site game. This is not on a campus. This is a neutral site game. So Ohio State's gone from a 3-point road favorite now to just a 3-point favorite on a neutral field. I think there's value there with Ohio State. And it kind of feels like this is where we see what happens in the NFL come into play. With the NFL playoffs, every year, somebody that plays in week 1 beats somebody that had a bye because they look rusty. And Ohio State they put it on my Tennessee Volunteers. They smacked them right in the mouth. And I still think Tennessee's defense is a little bit better than what Oregon is bringing to the table. They didn't show it in that first game of the college football playoff, but I just think Tennessee's defense was better, and Ohio State manhandled them. They shoved it right down Tennessee's throat. Those NFL wide receivers got separation. I don't think this is enough of a spread here. I like the Buckeyes. They won me over beating the pants off my Volunteers. So let's do it. We haven't done this in a long time. Honk the horn. Rob and I are on the same side. All right, and now we move on to what some are calling the varsity game. Although I think Ohio State and Oregon might be a better matchup. Notre Dame, Georgia. This is the evening final game, New Year's Day. This line, it's fluctuating. This is where StatFactory.io comes into play. Georgia, they are now a 1.5-point favorite against Notre Dame. Notre Dame was a favorite for maybe about 10, 15 minutes when these lines first came out. It's done a complete 180 here, and that's with Georgia going with their backup quarterback. So Georgia is around a 1.5-point favorite. You might find that number different elsewhere. The over-under 45. Notre Dame fan, Rob Kendall, do you have enough hair on your birthday peaches to bet against your Irish?
Well, Hammers, I'm sitting here because, of course, I'm off until Thursday, so I'm at my office here at home. I'm looking at a picture of my dearly departed grandfather. He lived 92 wonderful years. He was a huge Notre Dame fan, and I know as you asked me that question, he is looking down on me right now, and he's saying, I will rise up from the grave. I will shoot my hand up out of my tombstone, and I will strangle you if you dare take Notre Dame to win this game because you are a betting poison. So no, absolutely not, Hammer. I'm taking Georgia all the way, baby. At one point, I found them on a couple of websites at one point. Now, look, full disclosure, we talk about this as every Notre Dame game. I do this with the Chicago Bears as well. It's actually been very successful with the Bears money-wise this year. But I bet with my heart, not with my head. And this way, if Notre Dame loses this game, they can't blame me, and I'll win some money in the process. My actual bet for the show, and I hope I lose, will be Georgia laying the 1 point.
Okay, so this is why we always say we are not professional handicappers, right? We're just dudes that look at the information provided to us and make bets accordingly. And I feel like this is most of the public. You can tail us, you can fade us, that's fine. But you're just flat out saying, because you're a Notre Dame fan, it doesn't matter what you think about the matchups, what you think about the quarterback play, or anything else, you're going to pick Georgia because either way, you're going to be happy at the end of the night. Your team will either win or you will win the bet.
That's right, and I won't have to live for a whole offseason knowing I killed my team. It will not be Rob Kendall's fault. Oh, and I'm doing heavy betting, so by my standards, it'll be more than $3 on this game because I would gladly buy another week of Notre Dame going to the semifinals in college football. Now, if you really want to talk about the game, because I've watched every Notre Dame game, I just think Notre Dame has a decent shot in this game. Their defense is outstanding. Their pass defense is really, really good. Who knows how good this kid actually is that's going to play quarterback for Georgia. I'd also keep an eye on that total, which is 46, because Georgia's defense is good too. Notre Dame scores off their defense. If you're saying, hey, you guys got to go 80 yards or 90 yards, I don't see Notre Dame doing a lot of that. I'd keep an eye on that 46 as well. But if you said, who do you think will actually win this game, I think it may be Notre Dame, but I'm not putting that pressure on myself.
I'm going to put that pressure on myself. I'm going to be that guy that hitches his wagon to the Domers here. Dan Devine in the movie Rudy, which was also played by the guy Chelsea Ross, who was Harris in Major League. Fire me up a little bit.
No one, and I mean no one, comes into our house and pushes us around.
Low key, that guy, I think Chelsea Ross is his name, in like my favorite sports movies, all of them. So he's the a-hole Dan Devine in Rudy, which the real Dan Devine was pissed off about the way he was portrayed before he passed away. He was like, I had always intended to play Rudy. And And he was also Harris, the Vaseline ball in Major League. And don't forget, he had a role in Hoosiers as well, Rob.
Yeah, leave the ball, will you, George? One of the great lines in all of sports movie history. Yes, he was the a-hole coach of the Milan team before Gene Hackman shows up.
So, listen, I think Notre Dame is playing as good as anybody in the country. And Georgia, if you look at 2 of their last 3 games, they've not been real sharp, right? Georgia Tech should have beaten Georgia. And then Georgia comes out. They look pretty good in the SEC championship game, but they were kind of struggling a little bit down the stretch. But now they've got a new quarterback. And listen, there's a lot of Georgia fans that are saying this is an upgrade. They got a kid coming in there that's not going to just throw the ball to the other team as much as Carson Beck had done this year. But I'm taking Notre Dame here. And you know what? I don't want your stinking points. It's just 1.5. Give me money line, Rob. I want plus money. I can get plus money with your Fighting Irish. Give me Notre Dame money line, and that is my play for that.
Hammer, thanks for screwing over all the Notre Dame fans.
All right, you heard our thoughts on Notre Dame and Georgia. Looks like Rob and I are kind of on opposite sides, although I don't really think Rob's heart is into his pick because he's a Notre Dame fanboy. Let's see what our professional thinks. David Stefanoff of FollowNeverFade.com, one of the best handicappers in the business. All right, David, settle this little tie here. Myself against the birthday boy there. Notre Dame, Georgia, what say you?
Well, first off, thank you, Hammer, and happy birthday, Rob, the mayor of Brownsburg. Rob, you're on the right side, brother. I think we got rid of Mr. Punch You in the Face. Quarterback's gone. We got a new quarterback for Georgia. I think we got a shot here against the biggest frauds in college football history in the last 50 years, Notre Dame Irish, Rob. I'm all over Georgia here, guys. The quarterback change is a lateral move. Georgia does not get any worse. I don't know how this kid's going pro. I don't know what quarterback. Probably the Colts probably end up drafting. That's what they're probably used to. But they might draft Carson Beck. But I'm on Georgia here, guys. Mismatch, strength of schedule. I mean, come on. I mean, they're not. Notre Dame's not playing Northern Illinois. They're not playing Indiana. Georgia's played the SEC. I just think this is Kirby Smart's time. They've had a lot of rest. They're healthy. They're really healthy. I know Notre Dame's looked pretty good. But let's just face the facts that the Indiana team they played was not very good. I'm with you, Rob. I love Georgia here. I'm going to lay the points. I don't know about the over-under. I'm not going to touch the over-under here, guys. It looks with the new quarterback, they could score some points. Notre Dame runs the ball good. Georgia's defense has been prone to give up some points. But I think it's SEC here, guys. I love the Bulldogs of Georgia. Without Carson Beck, it's even a bigger play. It's one of our biggest plays that Follow or Fade this week on Bull Week. But we're on Georgia. Lay in the 1.5, whatever you can get it at.
Okay, so you don't buy into kind of what we see in the NFL sometimes, where a team that's off may be a little rusty compared to a team that's played the week before and they come in ready to roll.
Georgia's getting healthy. Georgia's definitely getting healthy here. Coaching definitely goes to Georgia side of Kirby Smart.
Now, if somebody wants to sign up for your services, I know we've got a very short window of college football left, the NFL regular season coming to an end, but then we got playoffs, college basketball, which is where you make your money at and you help your clients make money. How can they find you, David?
Hey, first of all, we're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever they call it. I post free plays every day. I want people to make money. I have a VIP service. I give out plays. Like Hammer said, college basketball is where I make my money. Conference season's about to just starting back up. Football's winding down. We got the playoffs. You can message me on all platforms: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. VIP's available. Tennis is about to roll. I tell everybody tennis is the easiest thing to bet in the whole world. People don't believe me, but hey, some people just don't understand tennis. Australian Open's in a couple of weeks. I got everything covered. Hockey, we got it all covered via Follow or Fade Sports. $100 a week, $250 a month. Message me directly, but I thank you, Hammer, and thank you, the birthday boy, for everything you do. You guys, this podcast is blowing up. You guys stay hot, and no matter what, Follow Never Fade, guys.
All right, going to take one more time out here, but when we come back, we have got a Let's Get Nuts. We've got a Degenerate special. We will recap the board. It's a college football playoff edition of the Degenerates Next Door, brought to you by StatFactory.io. Back on the Degenerates Next Door, I'm Jason Hammer. Rob Kendall is here. We are powered by StatFactory.io. Awesome site. It's done by math nerds and gambling degenerates. So when you bring degeneracy into math, Rob, I feel like it's about damn time science pulled its weight around here.
Yeah, StatFactory.io. These guys are great, man. They save you time. It takes your sports betting experience to a whole new level. And don't forget, soon, they got that really well-assembled AI chick who would never talk to you in real life, but for just a small donation each month, some woman you would never have a chance with will pretend to care about what you think.
That is coming out soon. It's kind of a soft rollout, but you want to get in early because the price is amazing. And if you use the promo code DEGENERATES with an S, it's even cheaper. Free preview right now, though. Check it out. All the college football playoff matchups are up there. The NFL matchups are up there. The NBA is up there. College basketball coming soon. Again, StatFactory.io. All right, Rob, I know it is New Year's Eve. I know it is your birthday, but I've got a serious question for you. Are you ready to get nuts?
All right, you want to get nuts? Come on.
Let's get nuts! Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
All right, it's the biggest party night of the year, Rob. Let's get nuts.
Yeah, I'm betting on golf, Hammer. How about that?
Boy, nothing blows the roof off of a room like a guy that walks in and says, can we turn golf on New Year's Eve?
Now, Hammer will back me up on this. I am mediocre at best on most of these sports, but when it comes to golf, I actually have some clue about what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I hate to give you any sort of compliment because you're normally a very small, very vindictive, very petty man that smells only slightly better than Matthew McConaughey. But when it comes to betting on golf, you are an ATM.
All right, so the first kind of big tournament of the year is actually taking place this week. It's called the Sentry, Sentry. It's taking place in Hawaii. It's a small field of only 60 golfers. Scotty Scheffler is not playing. Rory McIlroy is not playing. And it is an easy course. It's what we like to call a pitch and putt, as long as the wind is not super bad. That means pretty much any golfer in the field has a potential to win this tournament. They're all professionals. They're all good players in this limited field. And one of the guys who hits the ball really straight, and one of the guys who hits a lot of greens, and one of the guys who's really good with his irons is a guy by the name of Corey Connors. And Corey Connors right now, Hammer, two possible Let's Get Nuts for our audience. You can get him at 30-1 to win the Sentry. Or if you're not feeling that frisky, you can get Corey Connors right now plus 550 to finish in the top 5 at the Sentry, which means he doesn't have to win. He's just got to get in the top 5.
All right, you want to get nuts? Come on.
Let's get nuts! Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Again, if you want to be the life of the party, walk into your New Year celebration tonight and say, who else is betting on Corey Connors? All right, so fine. If this is how we're going to do it, fine. I will see your Let's Get Nuts, and I will raise you a Degenerate special.
It's time for Hammer's Degenerate Special.
Football schmutball. Who wants to watch college football playoff games? Who cares about these bowl games? Because Utah State and Nevada are playing basketball tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. I don't need to see the ball drop in New York. I need to see the ball tipped off in Reno, Nevada. Utah State taking on Nevada. Nevada is a 3.5-point home favorite. The total in this one is 143.5. We are going to go under that total tonight. If you really want to be a degenerate, bet the under on a 10 p.m. game on New Year's Eve. 13 of Nevada's last 15 games against conference opponents have produced a total of 143 points or less. The line here is 143.5. If my Ball State education is correct, we win by the hook here. I think it's the right play. And don't forget, the head coach of Nevada, he's got a little history of teams not scoring a lot of points under his watch. He's more of a defensive guy. He's more of a fundamental coach. He may or may not have walked around campus of Bloomington, Indiana in 1984, shirtless, wearing a gold medal. And that's a 100% story that I've been heard. Steve Alford is the coach. Rob, we're going under the total tonight.
Love it. Love it.
All right, let's recap the board here. Rob, your plays for college football playoff.
All right, we got Boise State getting 12 tonight. We got Arizona State getting 13 tomorrow. We got Ohio State laying 2 tomorrow, and we got Georgia laying 1 tomorrow. And then we got, for Let's Get Nuts, Corey Connors at 30-1 to win the Century, or Corey Connors at plus 550 to finish in the top 5.
I am on Boise State's team total over 20.5 tonight. Texas and Arizona State under 51. Rob and I are both on the Buckeyes minus 2.5. I've got Notre Dame money line. Take your stinking 1.5 and stick it up your point in an ass. I want plus money, and that's what we got with the Irish. And if you're looking for a degenerate special, college basketball tonight, under is the play, Utah State against Nevada. All right, have a great, safe New Year. Be careful. New Year's Eve, St. Patrick's Day, it's kind of amateur hour out on the roads. People that don't know how to handle their booze are going to be out there. So call an Uber, get yourself a cab. Be careful of the idiots that are out there. And Rob, happy birthday, my friend.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thanks to all our listeners. Thanks for allowing us to do this show and downloading us each week. And thanks to Stat Factory. We couldn't do it without them.
Shout out to David Stefanoff, a follow, never fade. We will be back on Thursday for the NFL edition of the Degenerates Next Door. Until then, may the odds be ever in your favor.